Saturday afternoon, my good friends Chris and Taina were having a graduation party for Taina's daughter, Madeline. The graduation party was at 2 o'clock. Now, Christy, my lovely fiance, and I were kind of just taking it easy over the course of Saturday morning and gearing up for this party at 2 o'clock. Of course, I like to take extra time. I'm like, by the way, like breaking the news to Christy, it's like, yo, we arrive late, we leave early. That's what I learned in AA, right? If you're just watching, I'm a sober guy for more than 13 years, and they teach us early, hey, you can go anywhere you want when you're sober. And it's always, it should always be a good time if you're spiritually fit. But at the same time, too, like you don't have to stick around parties the whole time. And so it's been embedded in me, you arrive late, leave early, sometimes to a fault. So, of course, we arrived like 45 minutes late. But the big reason, don't blame it on me, blame it on Caitlin Clark. And here's why. Flipping the channels around, Christy was putting her makeup on. She's in the shower or getting ready, whatever, not at the same time. And I see that the Fever are playing the Liberty on big CBS, which is, I think, a brilliant move by the WNBA, or by CBS, I should say. They own the rights to, I don't know how many WNBA games, but by owning the rights to these games, they can put them on either CBS Sports Network or CBS. And they put this on the main CBS, which was to be followed by golf after the game. The game was scheduled to end at 2 o'clock. It started at noon here locally in Texas. And I tune into the game because, hey, it's the Caitlin Clark effect. And also I love women's basketball, but I tuned in primarily for Caitlin Clark. And I tune in, and Caitlin Clark was like 0 for 7, but you could not deny the electricity in the arena. And by the way, quick shout out, like a play-by-play guy myself, Jordan Kent was calling the game for CBS. The dude is amazing. He's got pipes. He has, I'd call him a wordsmith. A lot of times as a play-by-play guy, I'll watch games, and if I hear somebody use a clever term or something I haven't heard, not over the top, but something that's eloquent and adds insight, I'll put it in my phone. I did that like 3 or 4 times with Jordan Kent, just ripping off material, learning from guys like him. He had a great call, and he brought a big time. You're on CBS. It's Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. You got a bunch of white dudes, right, getting ready to watch golf at 2 o'clock, and so they turn on the game, probably not normal WNBA fans, just my one man's opinion. And now they're watching this absolutely exciting basketball game between the Liberty and the Fever. And what happens, right? Caitlin Clark, I think the Fever were down by 12. Caitlin Clark just absolutely catches fire. And catching fire, like she puts together a flurry of 9 points, a huge 3, gets fouled. The crowd is out of control. The Liberty, UNESCO, they kind of slow it down. They find a way to score. They continue to go back and forth. At the end of the game, Caitlin Clark has a chance to, I think, win it. And this defender, Cloud, just locks her down. And Caitlin Clark can't get a shot off. Time expired. Great defense. After the game, Stephanie White, the coach of the Fever, was saying, hey, she made a great point. Their free throw disparity discrepancy has been 31 over the last 2 games, I think, or maybe just 31 that game. Either way, the Fever, they're not getting calls and they're not getting to the free throw line. And they are taking the ball to the hoop. Now, that game in itself is a great example of the effect that Caitlin Clark has on the league. It takes, and I'm a fan of the WNBA. I have been since we got next in 1996, okay? I am a fan of women's basketball, have been for a very long time. Call women's basketball games right in PR. I got to work with USA Basketball on a women's basketball team that included Candace Parker. I think it was Lauren Harper, Candace Wiggins, Sharday Houston, Marissa Coleman. It was an awesome experience, and I was hooked on women's basketball, especially from that point forward. That was in 2004. Watch your toes as I name drop over here, but I'm trying to establish my credibility with the women's basketball world. So this game was absolutely on fire. And, CBS has a couple primetime Caitlin Clark games coming up here in June. The first one on June 7th that quite possibly you would think they will put on the big CBS network, right? Let's send Tracker packing for a night, and let's put this game on prime time. However, things change. Over the weekend, yesterday in particular, it was announced that Caitlin Clark is going to miss 2 weeks with a strained quad. Now, that strained quad will last 4 games. And the impact is being felt right away from, not ticket brokers, from, I guess, like the secondhand ticket market, right? Like StubHub and all that stuff where fans go to sell their tickets. Last year, this game between the Sky and the Fever, the last game of the regular season, $165 was the cheapest ticket you could find, right? Well, with Caitlin Clark being injured and out for this game, those tickets now are $35. And that's the immediate impact of the Caitlin Clark effect. I would also imagine that this game was quite possibly going to be put on prime time, maybe on, like I said, big CBS, See Ya 48 Hours or Tracker or what's the show with Queen Latifah? Come on. The Equalizer, where she's out there kicking everybody's ass, right? Which is a lot of fun to watch Queen Latifah just play tunes on dudes' heads. Bad guys, you love that. But tell Queen Latifah, hey, we got to put you on ice for tonight. We're going to put Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark for all the country to see. Well, you know what? That's not going to happen. I can guarantee that game will be on CBS Sports Network and not on big CBS, and that was not confirmed. That's a theory that I had. And it played out, by the way, a theory that I shared last week, and it played out on Saturday with that game that was here locally in Central Texas on the great KWTX, our CBS affiliate. So I am not saying that the quality – because here's the thing. I came for Caitlin Clark, and I stayed for the game. Facts. We were, getting ready to go. I got my phone blowing up. Taina's texting me, where are you? She's calling me from her husband, Chris's phone, because she knows I won't get it if she calls, because she can be a pain in the ass, one of my best friends in the world, but that's just how it goes. Christy's like, come on, let's go. And I have never said these words in my life. Hang on, I got to watch the rest of this WNBA game. Like, legit. And the Fever, they've got players that just pop. You like their coach. The Liberty is New York City. I told you last week, my buddy John Tobias was there for the opener in Brooklyn, and he was like, dude, Pete, the environment was like overwhelming. It was amazing. Star-studded, great basketball. And so, and that's a game that doesn't include Caitlin Clark. So the WNBA certainly has the bones to survive any kind of Caitlin Clark injury. But from a marketing standpoint, of course, losing a star hurts. The next couple weeks are going to be very telling for the WNBA and the rest of the league. And I'm not saying that it's something that we've got to use to evaluate, the future of the WNBA. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the ratings in games that she was expected to play in and no longer will play in. I'll be interested, as Murph calls me. I mean, come on, dude. Does nobody respect the Pete Souza show? But really, I think that in 2 weeks we can sit back and look at this and say, okay, how'd it go, right? Like, how'd it go? And we can move on from there. But certainly not a good thing for the WNBA. Maybe an opportunity for other players, for like a Sophie Cunningham or Hull on the Fever to step up and become even more primetime than they already are. But